Donald Trump's lawyers have sent a memo to Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller that is literally tyranny if applied in our country. And in the United States, when the word tyranny is used, it's almost always fear-mongering from the right. Like, for example, we need guns everywhere and no gun control because the government could become tyrannical and the citizenry would then need guns to stop the government's tyranny. Or, for example, political correctness run amok has become a form of government tyranny. Even if you take issue with elements of political correctness, as I do, common sense at some point would remind you political correctness is not government tyranny. But Donald Trump's lawyers have sent a memo to Robert Mueller that is indicative of literal tyranny in terms of the view of the president's power in the United States. And the letter relates to the president's ability to do whatever it is that he wants with no consequences. And we've been trying to figure out what would happen if Trump forced the Mueller investigation to end? Or what if Trump fired Mueller? Or what if Trump refused to be interviewed by Robert Mueller? Or did Trump obstruct justice by firing James Comey? Did he tamper with witnesses when he tried to get Attorney General Jeff Sessions to unrecuse himself? And the answer, according to the memo written by Trump's lawyers, is no to every single one of those questions, because the president can do anything with no consequences, period, full stop. And the New York Times broke this memo over the weekend. And there is this stunning key paragraph that tells us most of what we need to know about Trump's position, where Trump's attorneys say, indeed, the president not only has unfettered statutory and constitutional authority to terminate the FBI director, referring to James Comey, he also has constitutional authority to direct the Justice Department to open or close an investigation, meaning the Russia investigation, and of course the power to pardon any person before, during, or after an investigation and or conviction. Put simply, the Constitution leaves no question that the president has exclusive authority over the ultimate conduct and disposition of all criminal investigations and over those executive branch officials responsible for conducting those investigations. The tyranny we should be afraid of isn't one where handguns and rifles would be useful to defend ourselves. It is this kind of totally presumed impunity by our leaders that is the real threat of tyranny. And what this paragraph and the memo in general are saying is that it doesn't matter what Trump does or why he does it, because there simply can be no consequences. Trump could take millions of dollars in cash in public from wealthy people in exchange for future pardons of crimes maybe they haven't even committed yet, and there would be nothing to be done. And it's even crazier that, as I've told you, Trump can't pardon state crimes. Washington, D.C. isn't a state, meaning that all criminal law in Washington, D.C. is effectively federal law. Trump could have his staff murder political opponents, Democratic senators, whoever, and then he could end the investigations into those killings. If there were convictions, he could simply pardon those people because, according to his lawyers, there is simply nothing that the president cannot do. And in addition, over the last few hours, Donald Trump himself went on Twitter and said he has the absolute right to pardon himself for anything, period. This is tyranny, my friends. It's not Obama taking your guns or canceling elections. It's not liberal professors telling you to be polite to transgender students. It's the president writing a letter to a special prosecutor saying, you can't do anything because I'm the president and I can't get in trouble, period. And it would be nice if at least one so-called prominent constitutional conservative grew a backbone and said, no more, no more. But they're not doing it. Did the president obstruct justice by firing Comey? No, not because he didn't, but because he can do whatever he wants to stop investigations, according to his lawyer. And people are talking about a possible constitutional crisis if Mueller says, here's a list of crimes we think Trump should be indicted for. And the Justice Department or Congress say, we're not going to do anything about it. People are saying that could be a constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis should be now, because we have a president who's taking a position that he simply cannot get in trouble for anything, that he is literally above the law. That's a constitutional crisis. And from a practical perspective, this is a pretext to fire Mueller with no consequences. This is a pretext to dictate the end of the investigation. This is a pretext to never sit down with Robert Mueller. And this is not how innocent people behave. I don't know how many times I've said it, but I keep going back to that. Innocent people don't behave this way. This is the attitude of tyranny. And Trump is everything that Republicans were screaming Barack Obama would be, and obviously wasn't. And Trump is running the exact kind of government that the right says we need weapons to protect ourselves from. Except sadly, the pistols and the rifles wouldn't do anything when this is what's going on. The video you just watched was made possible by support from you. Please go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show. You can make a pledge of as little as $1 per month. And every dollar helps to support the work that we're doing, particularly in light of the YouTube ad boycott, which has been really bad.